When you talk to Andrew Berry, there is a characteristic that he's likely looking for on the defensive side of the ball, and he addressed that when he talked to the media this week.
A couple different, we could talk through a number of different position groups, but I'll always take more speed up and down the roster, whether it's, defense, offense, special teams. This system is certainly predicated on speed. So really the short answer is yes. And I think, quite honestly, that answer would be yes in every offense.
And Dan, speed on the defense was glaring in that 14-yard run Chad Henne had. You were watching it, and it was just like, whoa.
It's pretty bad when you look at that run and you kind of just wish Myles Garrett would have been 100% because he was maybe the only guy that could have caught Chad Henne on that play. So, yeah, that was an issue. Andrew Berry gave a couple of John Dorsey-esque answers today, I thought, and one of them was about wanting speed at everywhere on the field. It's a very John Dorsey approach to things, and then he also said you can never have enough corners, and that is certainly a John Dorsey philosophy. I don't know if he took those directly from John, but a couple of Dorsey-esque answers. And yes, look, this team on both sides of the football, but especially on defense, really needs to add speed across the board.
The other thing is that linebacking core, we've talked about. Anybody who's watched us knows we've talked about that since the beginning of the preseason. I was very intrigued. There was a couple games where Jacob Phillips looks like he's a guy that can run and tackle. The challenge with him is there are times when he was coming into the hole and, he was not winning against a running back one-on-one. That cannot happen.
Especially with this group and the way it seems like they want their linebackers to play. I don't know if they're necessarily looking for that rangy sideline to sideline coverage linebacker. I think they like these guys to play downhill and try and stop the run game and get after the quarterback a little bit. So yeah, Jacob Phillips showed some promise, but he was dealing with injury a lot of the year when he was on the field. Like you said, there were good things, and he wore the green sticker in place of BJ Goodson in one game, and that's encouraging. He was able to do that, but there are also things he just has to clean up. You can't just be a guy that makes a couple spectacular plays in a game. You've got to be solid down to down if you want to play that position and be the Mike linebacker moving forward, or be a guy that's going to be on the field every play. Because I don't think this team is going to play a lot of linebackers moving forward. They're going to have Ronnie Harrison. They're going to have Grant Delpit back next year. I think you're going to see a lot of 3 safety looks. So there might only be 1 or 2 linebacker positions that are going to get significant playing time.
If I were going to give you a magic wand and say you can find an elite defensive player and pluck him onto this roster, where would it be?
I think I would put him at corner. I know you've got Denzel Ward, but I just love the idea of having another elite corner and a guy that can just shut somebody down on that other side of the field. Because again, I think you're okay at safety with those 2 guys, Delpit, assuming he comes back healthy, and Harrison. There's a part of me that wants to say linebacker because I love a good linebacker, but I just don't know that this front office agrees. So I'll align with the front office, and I'll just say, give me another really great cornerback, and let's make it really hard on these quarterbacks, these young quarterbacks that are in the AFC, these up-and-coming guys. Let's make life really difficult on them and slow their process down a little bit so that Myles Garrett and whoever else can get after it and finish some sacks.
When you look at the linebacker position, is it kind of like the defensive version of running backs? Now, it's not fair because the Browns clearly value running backs with Hunt and Chubb, but across the league, the feeling seems to be, we get a running back and we kind of change them out every 3 or 4 years. Is that kind of the mindset with linebackers these days because everybody passes so much?
It seems like that's taking on, and I think it depends on the organization, right? I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are always going to value linebackers. I think the Baltimore Ravens are always going to some level value linebackers, and they're a very analytically driven organization. But I think with the Browns, I don't know if they're really going to value that position for a lot of the reasons you said. It's a little more interchangeable, and I think Joe Woods wants to have safeties on the field. I think he wants to have versatility. I mean, how do you deal with a guy like a Travis Kelce, right? You've got to have an athletic guy who can come up and hit, but who can also cover. And these are the types of problems you have to deal with as the Kelce's, the George Kittles, all these bigger tight ends and bigger receivers are coming into the league. Guys are moving around in formations a lot more. It's so much more valuable to have those versatile safeties, I think. So, yeah, I think the Browns kind of view that as a little bit interchangeable, and they're going to look for value like they got out of BJ Goodson, who they looked at, thought he was undervalued. They went out and brought him in, and he ended up having a pretty nice year for him.
Yeah, the other thing about running backs is, or linebackers rather, is offenses will try to match up running backs on them. So you're looking for guys that can run in space with athletic running backs and linebackers, and that's usually a safety.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the Browns' offense this year. And one of the things Kevin Stefanski was really good at was getting Jarvis Landry in situations where there was a linebacker across from him. Doing the same with Kareem Hunt. Go back and watch the Baltimore game. There was a wheel route where Kareem Hunt got matched up with a linebacker. Baker saw it right away. He hit Kareem Hunt on a big play. It happened over and over again with Jarvis Landry. You get these tight ends on linebackers. It's just so much more valuable now to focus on having athletic safeties, inside corners who can cover, some bigger guys. I just think with the way offenses are going, where you have bigger athletic players now, not just, kind of these spread offenses, but you've got tight ends and bigger receivers that can play in any spot. You've got to have safeties and corners who can cover and maybe take linebackers out of the equation.